It was late October, and I was hauling a load from Pennsylvania to Texas. The nights were cold, the air sharp with the bite of autumn. Somewhere in West Virginia, on a lonely stretch of Route 29, I saw him, a lone figure standing on the shoulder of the road. He wasn't moving, just standing there, barely illuminated by my headlights. His face looked stretched, like his skin didn't fit right. I didn't stop. Truckers don't pick up hitchhikers. But as I passed him, I swear his head turned to follow me, his eyes locked on mine. A few miles down the road, I saw him again. Same spot, same eerie stillness. My heart raced. There was no way he could have gotten ahead of me. No side roads, no cars had passed. I sped up, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. 20 miles later, he was there again. But this time he was closer to the road, his mouth stretched into an unnatural grin. That was enough for me. I floored it, refusing to look in my mirrors. Then I heard it, a heavy thud on my trailer, like something large had landed on it. My stomach dropped. I kept driving, refusing to stop. Whatever was on my trailer wasn't human, and I wasn't about to find out what it was. My CB radio crackled to life, but all I heard was heavy, raspy breathing. I shut it off. When I finally reached a truck stop outside Charleston, I jumped out of my cab, my heart pounding. There was nothing on my trailer, no dents, no scratches. But when I turned back to my cab, I froze. Scrawled across my windshield in what looked like black tar were the words, "I'm not done yet." A few years ago, I was driving through Utah with a small convoy of 3 other truckers. It's safer to travel in a group, especially at night. We were swapping stories over the radio when one of the drivers, Rick, mentioned a ghost convoy. He said some truckers had reported seeing a group of old, rusted rigs driving the highway late at night. They'd appear out of nowhere, their headlights dim, their horns silent. If you got too close, they'd vanish. We laughed it off. Just another trucker ghost story. But an hour later, we saw them. 4 ancient trucks, their tail lights barely glowing, their trailers swaying like they were being pushed by an invisible wind. Rick cursed over the radio. "That's them. That's the ghost convoy." I don't know why, but I felt compelled to get closer. Maybe I wanted to prove it was just some old fleet running without proper maintenance. As I sped up, my headlights illuminated the back of one of their trailers. The paint was peeling, revealing rusted metal beneath. Then I saw it. A message scratched deep into the metal, like someone had clawed it with bare hands. "Help us." The radio cut out, replaced by static and a low gurgling sound, like someone drowning. My truck's engine sputtered and the lights flickered. For a moment, I thought I was going to lose control. Then, just as suddenly as they'd appeared, the convoy was gone. The radio crackled back to life, and Rick's voice came through, shaky. "We don't talk about this again." We never did. About 10 years ago, I was driving through the back roads of Kentucky, trying to avoid a wreck that had traffic backed up for miles. The road was dark, barely lit by my headlights, with thick trees on either side. About 20 minutes into the detour, I saw him, a man standing in the ditch, facing away from me. His body was rigid, like he was frozen in place. I slowed down just enough to get a better look. That's when he moved. Not like a normal person. His body jerked violently, his limbs twitching at strange angles. He took one stiff step forward, then another, before stopping again. My skin crawled. Something was seriously wrong. I hit the gas, putting as much distance between us as possible. A few miles later, I saw another figure in the ditch. Same posture, same stiff, unnatural movements. Then another and another. More figures, all standing in the ditches along the road, each one facing away, their bodies jerking as if they were trying to move but couldn't. I didn't slow down again. By the time I reached the main road, my hands were shaking. I pulled into a truck stop and sat there for a long time, just trying to breathe. I don't know what they were, and I don't ever want to find out. A buddy of mine, Jake, told me this story years ago. He was driving through Nevada, heading west on a familiar route, when he decided to take a short break at a rest stop. When he got back on the road, it was different. Sudden curves, dips, and rusted blank signs. His CB radio was silent. No chatter, no static, just dead air. He kept driving, figuring he'd taken a wrong turn. But the road stretched on with no exits, no towns, just empty desert and those rusted signs. Then he saw headlights in his mirror. A single truck, no company logos, just a battered old rig with dark tinted windows. It was gaining on him fast. Jake tried to speed up, but no matter how fast he went, the truck stayed right behind him, its headlights burning in his mirrors. Suddenly, it was gone. No tail lights, no sound, just gone. A few minutes later, the road changed again. The signs were back to normal. His radio crackled to life, and everything looked the way it should. Jake checked his GPS. According to the map, he'd never left the original highway. To this day, he swears he drove down a road that doesn't exist. One night in Montana, I parked at a rest stop to get some sleep. Around 3 a.m., I heard rustling inside the sleeper. My blood ran cold. I sat up slowly, reaching for the knife I kept near my bed. The curtain was still shut, but I could hear something moving just beyond it, something breathing. I grabbed the curtain and yanked it open. Nothing. The sleeper was empty. But then I saw it. A long, dark smear on the inside of the curtain, 4 streaks like claw marks. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Truckers see things on the road that most people never will. Sometimes it's exhaustion, tricks of the mind. But sometimes the things we see are real. There are places on the highway where you're not alone, and sometimes the things riding with you aren't human. Keep your doors locked, because out there in the dark, something might be watching.